Hello guys, welcome back to the NW Sportscast. Today we have another player profile for you. We're going to do a projection for Mitch Garver in the 2024 MLB season. Super excited to see how this DH will perform this upcoming season, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to give you what I think will happen. But first, let's give some context to Mitch Garver. 2023 in Texas, he had a really solid year. You go to the home runs, just one shy of 20. His batting average hovered at 270. He had an OBP of 370, a slugging of 500 on the dot, an OPS of 870, an OPS plus of 134. And all those things are really good numbers. But you wonder, why don't he have 19 home runs? That's a good question, and I'll answer it because I'm the guy behind the screen that you're watching. It's because he only played in a limited number of games. He played in 87 last year, and that's just over half the season that Mitch Garver was even able to play for. And the best ability is availability, as we all know. Games played is a stat that is often, utilized and seen by fans. They love to look at the batting average and the OPSs of the world, but does your player actually get to play? And that's kind of why Mitch Garver was grabbed at somewhat of a discount according to a lot of MLB fans. But let's just jump into what I think will happen this year. I would start with games, and I'm going to go kind of an interesting game total for you guys because this is the most important thing for Mitch Garver, but I'm going to save that for last. Watch all the way to the end of the video to see what I think Mitch Garver will do as far as how much he will play in 2024. But let's start with the big one, the home runs. Last year he had 19. I have that ticking up to 28. I think Mitch Garver will go off and he will produce for your Seattle Mariners. Now, that might seem ridiculous. This is a guy that hits a lot of balls to left field. The Mariners have a deep left field. Not a lot of guys can get out of the ballpark. But why I think he will increase his home run total this year is because I believe that because he's not going to be a catcher and he's going to be just the DH for the Mariners, he will be able to play more games, get more batting in, and will be able to fly a lot more balls over the left field walls. I'm at his Baseball Savant page right now, and it's just, you just love to see what it shows you. His average exit velo, 63rd percentile, barrel percentage, 83rd percentile, his chase rate, 98th percentile. He only swings at good pitches, and his expected weighted batting average, 89th percentile. His batting run value is in the 89th percentile. This is a dude that will drive the ball out of the yard. He's a guy that's going to produce in 2024. He loves to hit the fastball. He absolutely mashes any fastball hitting. 10 of his 19 home runs came off the fastball last year. He's 6'1", 220, and I believe as a DH, he's going to even increase maybe a few more pounds of hopefully muscle, and we'll be able to muscle those balls. Oh my God, I can't talk today. Muscle those balls out to left field. So I have him at a really high home run count of 28. RBIs, I'm going for a cool 73 RBIs. And that's an uptick from last year, and I think the main reason is going to be because there's a lot of guys that are going to get on base above him. Julio Rodriguez, J.P. Crawford. I think Ty France, he'll be below him in the lineup, but, there's going to be a lot of guys on base for Mitch Garver to drive in. The uptick in home runs will lead to an uptick in RBIs. I have him going for 73. Batting average is the next stat I'm going to be looking at. This is a guy, 98th percentile in chase rate. He does not chase, and that usually leads to a higher batting average, and he's going to have a respectable one of 268, and a 268 batting average with 28 home runs is nothing to sneeze at all. I think he's going to be able to produce hits for your Seattle Mariners, and not just hits, but he's going to be able to, when you need a guy to get a sac fly, to ground ball, pretty much just not strike out when you have a runner on third and 1 or 0 outs happens so much for the Mariners. I think Mitch Garver will be able to put the ball into play. and that will be reflected with a 268 batting average in 2024. On base percentage, 368, and that's slightly down from last year. His walk rate was absolutely insane last year. I don't know if he'll be able to keep that up. I don't know if his chase rate will be able to stay in that 98th percentile. I think it'll fall just slightly. His batting average also falls just slightly from last year. So those two combinations of thing, I think he will have a really respectable on-base percentage of 368. Slugging is next. I have him going for a 585 slugging, and that's way up from last year, and that's because he has an extra 9 home runs to his season total stat line, and that's going to lead to the uptick in slugging. And then my personal favorite stat, OPS, I have him going for a 930 OPS. That is, let me check here, that is his second highest in his entire career. He went for 870 last year, so that's a huge uptick. He had almost had an OPS of 1,000. He was at 995 in 2019. It slowly decreased from there. That was also when he played 93 games. The last 3 years for Texas, so in 2022 and 2023, he played 54 and 87 games respectfully. And then in 2021, he played 68. This is 3 straight seasons with below 100 games played, and that begs the question, will Mitch Garver play 100-plus games in 2024? And as much as I would love to sit here and tell you guys that Mitch Garver will indeed play more than 100 games, you got to look at what happened last, and you have to look at projections and trends, and trends often tell you what's going to happen. You look at the NFL, every single thing showed Patrick Mahomes was not going to win the Super Bowl, but what does the trend tell you? He's going to win the Super Bowl. And that is ended up what happened. You take a test. You study not at all, and you take the test, and you don't do well. And what do you think is going to happen the next test if you don't study? You're not going to do well. Trends indicate what will happen in life, and unfortunately, I think this will also indicate 99 games played for Mitch Garver in 2024. That's still a pretty high game total when you look at the last 3 years for Garver in particular. He hasn't really scratched that. 87 last year was his closest. The last time he played over 100 games was back in 2018, and that wasn't even close to a full season. He only had 102, so I'm actually not being super unfair to Mitch Garver. I need to see it before I believe it. 99 games with 28 home runs. I see him going through some minor injuries as the games start to pile up, even though he is just a DH. And you could argue because he's not going to be a catcher, he's going to play a lot more games. He's going to stay on the field. And as much as I hope that stays true, I'm here to be realistic, and I'm not here to give you guys fluff. I'm here to tell you what I think is going to happen. And I think he's going to have a really good year, but I just don't think he's always going to be available for this Mariner team. However, I do think he'll be available for the end of the season and the playoffs, and I think this team will make the playoffs. And that's when you're really going to need Mitch Garver to step up. If I had to project what's going to happen as far as health-wise, and I'm not a doctor, and I don't have a magic ball I can just gaze into and see the future for. But what I will tell you is I think that the season will start. He will play a lot of games. He'll be the everyday DH. And then about mid-May, June, approaching July will hit, and that'll be generous if it gets to July. I think some minor injuries will start to rack up. He might have a little bit of an IL stint for one reason or another. He's going to go into the All-Star break, come out of it, he's going to play, and those minor injuries are going to start to rack up again. He's not going to play until early September, and then we'll play from there on out. And I think if that's what you get from Mitch Garver, you can't really complain as a Mariner fan, because although all of the health reports say he's good to go, the trend tells you he's not going to play as many, he's not playing 162 guys. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And you don't expect that, but a lot of Mariners fans are expecting 130 to 145 games play. It's not going to happen. And I hope I can play this video in September and say that I was wrong, but I don't think I will be. And that might make me a little bit of a bad fan or a Mitch Garver hater. It's clearly not. I still have him going for 29 home runs and have him hitting 268, with a good OPS, a good slugging. I think he'll be really productive when he's on the field. Can he stay on the field? And that's going to be the biggest question for Mitch Garver. It's why the Seattle Mariners got him for relatively inexpensively. It's why a lot of teams passed up on Garver. And it's why he's not playing the catcher position, because he was getting hurt way too often. And he's too good of a hitter to have him not in the lineup. And the Mariners, I would like to say they're good at keeping players on the field, but I don't think they're better than, the next random Joe Schmo team down the road. The players don't just historically come to the Seattle Mariners and they're all of a sudden just healthy. I want to say the Mariners have bad athletic trainers or whatever you may have. It's just a long season. There's a lot of games in baseball, and you can't expect players to play 130 plus games, especially when a guy hasn't played over 100 games in 6 years. And when he did go over 100 games, he went by 102, guys. I mean, you look at the minors, 2013, 56 games, and then he went on a 3-year stretch in single A to triple A where he did go over 100 games 3 times. But then, once again, in triple A and his first year in the major leagues, okay, no. So that was the same year, in 2017. So he had a 4-year stretch from 2014 to 2017 where he did eclipse 100 games. But then since then, he's gotten older and he's 33. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I could be hypocritical. I might could be completely wrong on this. I really hope I am. I hope I can roll the clip in September and say why I'm wrong about this. But I don't think I will be, unfortunately. So my final total stat line for Mitch Garver: he'll play 99 games, hit 28 home runs, have 63 RBIs, have a batting average of 268, on base percentage of 368, a slugging of 585, and an OPS of 930. Thank you so much for watching. This is the NW Sportscast. Mitch Garver player projection for the 2024 MLB season. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It means a lot to us. We're really trying to grow this channel, and all the support we can get really truly does help us out. So I appreciate all of that. Leave a comment down below. I know I said that, like, comment, subscribe. Actually, please comment. I really want to hear what you guys have to think about this. Tell me I'm wrong in the comment section below. We'll reply, and I look forward to having a dialogue with you down there in the comments. And as always, go Mariners.